Hey there, it's Okazi. Thanks for joining me again. We have SniXSniPe spawning in the top left-hand corner here on Tal'Darim Altar. I think it's MLG Tal'Darim Altar as the pink Terran, and down here in the bottom left-hand corner, so close by air-ish, and a push distance that is close by ground for the Terran, actually, we have Element, the blue Zerg. Obviously a custom game, as Snix is the lovely pink color. And we'll have to see if he goes for some type of tank marine, which is very common when you get these positions as a Terran player. A timing, I should say. Tank marine is, of course, the bread and butter of TVZ. But timing push is especially effective with this rotational symmetry, like they like to say. You can set up right here, put like some bunkers and a barracks right here, just land it, float it up there for sight, etc., etc. Really good. And we'll have to see if Element fast expands or if he's going to drop a pool first. Most players will fast expand, most Zerg will fast expand on this map. However, some of them are kind of wary because of 2 racks pressure, even still on this big of a map. They think if they fast expand and the Terran player doesn't fast expand, puts them at a little bit of a disadvantage. But really, the map is so big, it's kind of mute. Unless they get lucky and scout your direction first, you're not going to have a Terran 2-raxing in most cases. And we have Snix sending out his 13th SCV to scout here. In the meantime, Element is scouting the same direction he sent his Overlord, and is then going to scout up, so he'll actually find Snix last. And he has dropped his hatchery. No spawning pool yet. He's droning back up to 5th, 16. Wow, that's pretty greedy, up to 16. Though if there's a map to get away with it on, it's definitely Tal'Darim. We have Snix morphing in his orbital. He's not picked up a gas, so I'm going to guess it's a 1-rax fast expand. He's going to deny scouting with this marine here. Should be able to get out to the front of the ramp in time to deny a good amount of scouting. So should be perfectly good for repelling that drone, though if he positions it, there he goes, moves it a little bit more forward, he'll be able to deny, even knowing that the command center is going down. And we'll have to see when he picks up his gas here. Meantime, he did scout. He saw the expansion going down. He saw the timing of the pool. Saw that it was a pretty late pool, so he knows he's not really subjected to some type of early all-in pressure, at least off the bat. And that's not just because the pool was a little bit later. There we go, denying that scout. That's because just the general thought process of someone, when you see them go pool that late, you know they're trying to focus on econ. And Element did not see the expansion going up, so he's entirely in the dark there. Good denial by those 2 Marines. And these 3 SCVs are going to wall up the front here with Raxes. So we have 4 Raxes going down for Snix here. Still, oh there we go, he's picking up his refiner right now. 2 Queens and 8 Zerglings spawning over here for Element. Little heavy on the Zerglings, I think, as he still hasn't scouted anything. And actually Tal'Darim is a big enough map that his first pair of Zerglings he could have run across, seen this wall, and then been like, oh okay, he has a wall. He's building 3 Raxes and he's expanding behind it. So I'm good for a little bit, I don't need to waste 3 more drones. But he's going to find out that information now, and those Zerglings are going to sit idle for a while, unless he decides to suicide them into these 4 Marines. There he goes, he runs back. These 3 Raxes finishing up. This first Rax moving back to put a tech lab on it. Second gas going down here. And we have hard droning out of Element here. He just scouted, you know, oh look at all those Raxes, I can produce 7 drones. So that's what he's going to do. And he is barely ahead on harvesters, though 5 are just about to finish. There they go. Now he's a good 4 ahead, which is a little bit behind actually with 2 mules. I think you need 6, 3 per mule to be caught up. It's between 2 and 3 for a minute. Closer to 3 though, I think. I think like a worker gathers something like, I don't know, 90 minerals a minute or something. Well, yeah, no, I don't know. Zergling speed just finished up there. Stim researching. Overlord's moving about, trying to get some good positioning. Looks like Snix is playing the macro game for sure. He's going to go ahead and go clear this rock. Or maybe it's just positioning for Overlords? I'm not checking for banelings morphing. I'm not sure what he's doing there. Looks like he's going to go ahead and head across with a bunch of Marines, though, for a good timing push. One of the observers leaving the game there. We have a third gas actually being picked up by SniX. Really looks like he's going to be teching pretty hard. And Stim is quite a good ways off. He's moved out to that tower over there. Factory going down. And I'm not sure what SniX's SCV is planning on doing. I guess it's just scouting. It's going to shoot up and see one crawler, few Zerglings. It sees banelings morphing there in the back, and that should be SniX's cue to be super careful. Looks like he's probably just going to clear out these creep tumors and head on back, but I'm not sure. Oh, he saw those banelings morphing, and he's on creep. This is so dangerous. Though with good marine control, perfectly safe. One baneling picking off. Oh, throwing some marines back to absorb those banelings. And this last baneling is going to get all of them. Yeah, they're all picked off. I'm not sure that was the best call there by SniX. We have the +1 researching, factory putting a tech lab on it, starport going down. So we are going to see tank marine, it looks like. Lots of Zerglings rushing across the field here. It's kind of thinking, oh, he just threw a bunch of marines at me. I can probably pick off any reinforcements that were out running around the field, and I'm going to scout up and see what's there. And we have no way to get in. Sees reactors going down on these first three barracks, which really isn't that much of a surprise. He's just going to camp out over there by the third, so he knows when that's going to be taken. Reactor going down on this starport that just finished for medvacs. We have a turret up at the 9-minute mark in each mineral line, which is good. That's what you want. He hasn't scouted any type of mutaplayer. Lair is just finishing, so it's still a good ways off. I scanned and saw that the lair is still morphing. So he's got to feel comfortable about that. The muta timing is going to be over 10 minutes. That's pretty slow muta timing for not having a third up by now, actually. Element picking up his third. Right as I mentioned that it's a slow timing for not having a third. He drops a third. SniXSniPe a little bit supply blocked here for a minute. Combat shields and +1 almost finished. First tank about to hit the field. Looks like siege was researched. Oh, there's 2 tanks out. And now medvac starting up here. Turrets going out behind the mineral line. Additional turrets, I should say. Medvac's lifting these tanks out because they're not going to be able to get out of there very easily. It looks like SniX is loading up for a drop while he pushes with his tank marine. Got a bunch of banelings and Zerglings morphing over here. They're actually, I think, going to see this medvac as it goes by. We will have to see. SniX is just kind of camping it. Looks like it's going to fly right over all those banelings and marines. Those banelings and Zerglings, not banelings and marines. And SniX is just keeping his reinforcements in his base. He's not rallying them out, setting up a siege tank, putting an extra supply depot. Oh, these marines are going to pick off all these banelings for free. Huge mistake by Element there. They could have done a ton of damage, but instead they're just melted away by that marine fire. And he's taking his fourth. His spire was put up at his natural in kind of an interesting position. I guess it's technically the most easy to defend. It's going to go down when he loses the natural. If you put it anywhere back here, it's A, subject to drop play, and B, subject to the tank fire. So that's the reasoning for putting it here. And then you don't put it in your natural because if it gets scanned, they know you're going mutaless, which is of course kind of redundant because Zerg always goes mutaless versus a Terran. So I don't really know what that's supposed to accomplish, honestly, but a lot of Zerg players do it. I guess it's so that way it doesn't get picked off as easily. If it's back in your main, it's more likely to get picked off, takes a long time to rebuild, that type of thing. This mutalist poked forward and got a bloody nose, or snout, or I'm not really sure what mutalists have. Bunch of Zerglings and banelings rolling in. The banelings going in the right direction, right towards the marines, while he's actually kind of holding off there. That was kind of a mistake. And this is one of those things I like to think, I'm not really sure what Zerg players are doing when they run directly by the siege tanks with the Zerglings, because the Zerglings, while you need some there to cover fire for the Marines firing on the Banelings, like if you don't have Zerglings there, they're going to be shooting Banelings the entire time. You can leave a few of the Zerglings, and that's a bit of a micro thing. You can just like highlight a few Zerglings at the back and just like attack, move, command those, and they'll just stop on the tanks and take them out. Because if you don't, you're going to end up doing that. What that happened in that situation, which is you run by while the Marines kite you, and the tank got 1, 2, maybe 3 shots off as it ran past, which really isn't, you know, the ideal situation for you as a Zerg player. So you want to make sure to micro some of the Zerglings at the back to go ahead and pick off the tanks. And let's be honest, as somebody who plays random, the Zerglings aren't that hard to control. You just kind of click past things and let them attack. So, you know, it's not really that hard to pick off a few at the back and leave them on attack move. So, just something to keep in mind. And supplies are pretty even right now, which is not really in the Zerg's favor. The Zerg should be a little bit ahead at this point, actually. The third or the fourth base is up. There's a queen there. It's not injecting, but it is up. The third is not yet saturated, so he did pick this up and then not saturate it, which is kind of an interesting choice. I mean, it's almost saturated, but not quite. The natural and the expansion, however, are very well saturated. We have lots of Marines at 2-1 now. Tanks are at 1-0. I'm sorry, the Marines are at 2-0. Tanks are at 1-0. We have a little flock of Mutalisks, not really enough to even deal a lot of damage given that there's turrets around here. One Mutalisk going down for a turret, not a good exchange. And then the rest being driven off. However, he did get a kind of a big stem. He got about, I don't know, 10 Marine system over there. SniX is now ahead on supply, picking up that third base. There's so many Marines out on the field right now, and they just melt those Zerglings, who I believe are unupgraded. No, they're 1-1. And the Mutas are +0/+0. They have nothing on them. A little bit gas starved here for the Zerg player. He has, there he goes, he saturated the 5th and 6th and the 7th and 8th. So now he has 8 gases up and running. That should be quite a large help. Mutalisks rallied out actually towards this tower, which isn't good. And a few Overlords getting picked off. Sight from these medvacs allows them to get picked off, and the Zerg player almost getting supply cap there. Big stim out of SniX, moving up onto that creep, taking out the tumor, I believe, in a scan. Yeah, he did. And now all the Zerglings running in, and a great split out of SniX. Did you see how far? Look at that. That's ridiculous. And he just posts them there and lets the tanks clean it up. And that's what happens when you just run the Zerglings around. If you don't specifically target the tanks with the Zerglings and just kind of run them around in that situation, you're not going to be able to take out the tank Marine force. And lots of Banelings connecting on the front there, though. Just a wave of green. And these other Banelings that are morphing aren't ever going to reach the Marines, actually. Yeah, there they go. Spire being taken out. Element calling, GG re, SniX, yeah. So we see this Marine tank push, which is very, very common on Tal'Darim Altar in these close by ground positions. So when you get this rotational symmetry and you can do that, you can really push out with a pretty strong push here, though I will say it's kind of delayed. It was like a 15-minute push, timing push, so kind of interesting there. The Zerg player did take his third a little slow. Didn't get the Spire up for harassing till after, I think it was about 12 minutes when that Spire actually got out, maybe 11. And then he didn't really produce that many mutas. He didn't have like a bunch of bank because he hadn't picked up his third and gotten those 2 gases immediately. I mean, you can muta off 4 gas, but not when you've been building a bunch of Banelings the entire time and, you know, pressuring. So that's kind of something to keep in mind. But all in all, really good gameplay out of SniX and Element here. Thank you, SniX, for shooting this over. If you like this video, go ahead and follow down below if you're watching on Justin TV. Or if you're watching on YouTube, you should subscribe, because that's awesome, at youtube.com/Lokazi. And I will catch you guys in just a little bit. I'm going to be casting a few games today. And I apologize for my absence for a few days. I've been really tired. Actually, all weekend I was super tired. And someone my friend at work actually said, you know what, I think everyone was super tired over the weekend because it was 105 degrees here. And that might actually be the case. That might have been why I was tired all weekend. And I've also been playing Diablo 2. So you can't really fault me for that. That game is amazing. Anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next game. This is Lakazi casting for you. I'll see you soon.